Hello there everyone, Mike the MC, bringing you the self-care video. You cannot divide the powers of God. In other words, you cannot take His intellect, His wisdom, separated and treat those as individual gods. And I think this will be interesting with number 271 of the Catechism, because I think many people like to put all of their faith and hope into media, technology, other items that you could say. It even says in the Bible, right? The makers will be just like the creations they make. And so I think this will be very interesting with number 271 of the Catechism. So let me share with you the following and see where this takes us. So here's number 271 of the Catechism. God's almighty power is in no way arbitrary. In God, power, essence, will, intellect, wisdom, and justice are all identical. Nothing therefore can be in God's power which cannot be in His just will or His wise intellect. Okay, and so going back to that, nothing can be separated. In other words, the great omnipotent power of God, right? You can look at all that creation, you and I, how we stand in this world together, how there's somebody that you see each day that's like, wow, how is that person thriving? How is that person amazing? They're surprising me. Or how is that person so wealthy? Or that one's so poor? And you think of all the highs and lows. Where's this omnipotent power coming into play that can really put everything in a balance? And so you're in awe, you're in wonder. But the thing is, when you look at all that awe and wonder, to not fall into the trap of just forgetting the little things in life, the subtleties. Have you always wondered if you just kind of lowered the vision? In other words, if you look at it from the size of an ant or a bug, right? The vision of a smaller animal or insect, you recognize that in their world, the world is much bigger, but they see the ground much more closely, more visually than we do from above, right? And you think, okay, so the more microscopic I look at other areas of my life, around a box, around a table, a chair, right? You think of all the empty spaces around existence, and you think, wow, God's presence is everywhere. His presence is everywhere. And yet at the same time, you cannot separate that from His other abilities, from His other powers, because everything is made out of love. And when you forget that, that's why people will misuse the media, the apps, the everything that you could think of as far as life and technology, why people work with anger, not with love, and they always work from hate. It's because people are leaving parts out. They're taking the best parts that they would say are the best and leaving out the subtle, humble parts. So you need the whole pie in order to understand that God's love is there for everything, holding everything together, and not just to separate the love piece as well. See, if you're just so focused on love, focused on finding the next relationship, of course you're going to find yourself struggling because you're just so determined to fix that particular problem, but the other areas of your life are neglected. See, finding that balance to take care of yourself for all parts of your life is essential. Without health, you cannot live, right? Without sleep, you cannot live. Without air, right? Without intellect, without food, abilities, cleaning, all these essentials, it's very hard to survive. And anyone can say, okay, well, that's so common. I mean, of course, that's so obvious. But the thing is, when we lose track of that and put our faith into the powerful things of life, the awards, the prestige, the promotions, the power that people are like, oh, the power, I want the power. And you think of God, you're like, okay, well, He's powerful. Of course He is. But He's also gentle, and He's a loving leader too. So that's the thing you cannot forget. The pieces of God that we all see, even from every religion and faith, right, must not forget that God is a wholesome being that loves all people, through all creation, because we are coming from Him. He's the one that made the image on your face. My image, right? He made everything, everybody. And so you got to love the Creator as the total package. The total package of God is essential. And so don't neglect the different powers and don't make those into separate gods. But more importantly, bring your idea, your connections back to the whole package. For God knows you better than I will, than anyone else will. And you know what's needed to be done. And you know what love is like. You know what it's like to know a Creator that keeps things together. Just things to think about. But I know with your intellect and your skills and abilities, you have a good understanding of life. So share in the comments what it's like to live pretty much as a philosopher. Share in the comments. Alright everyone, I hope this video finds you well with number 271 of the Catechism. Don't separate the powers of God into separate gods. Just remember that God is a total package, so we can see different parts of Him, but they all come back to Him. So respect the beautiful wholeness of God, and you will find him that he is very close in creation around us today. Things to consider. Alright everyone, hope this video finds you well. Take care, have a good one.